Well, while the Kenya Kwanza administration pushes forward with the implementation of the Finance Act, Busia Senator Okiya Omtata remains resolute in his stance, even though the Supreme Court has declined to halt the Act's execution. And welcome on board. My name is Linda Alela. We have so much lined up for you this night. Should be joining.
Well, my name is Eric Munene. On tonight's episode of Disruptive Fridays, we delve into a concerning issue. Africa has emerged as one of the world's most rapidly expanding generators of e-waste, with an estimated annual production of 2.2 million metric tons. This alarming trend is fueled by swift urbanization and the widespread adoption of technology and the growth of the middle class across African nations. We are going to be having that discussion in a few minutes from now. But first,
the highlights.
Tonight, death toll brought about by road accidents on the Nairobi-Mombasa highway rises to 22. 8 people die in Makueni crash as survivors of the Ikanga accident recount moments before the crash. Busia Senator Okiya Omtata now says the decision by the Supreme Court to side with the implementation of the Finance Act 2023 is not the final nail in the case's coffin, saying there is hope ahead. Resign and leave us alone. ODM party leader Raila Odinga's tough talk to ODM rebels expelled by the party this week while on a tour of Migori County.
Wewe sasa umewacha msimamo ya chama chako, umeenda kwa upande kingine.
This is TV47 Weekend Edition. Thank you so much for keeping it. TV47, we have lots lined up for you on this edition as well of Disruptive Friday. We begin by taking a look at what is in the world of news. Before we get to that very crucial interview, our sign language interpreter is Rhoda Nyamai, and my name is Linda Alela. Certainly be sampling some of your comments as we continue with the broadcast. The hashtag is Disruptive Friday. Now, 8 people died and several others were seriously injured on Thursday night after a matatu collided with a truck at Mlima Q area in Makueni on the Nairobi-Mombasa highway. Eric Matika informs us more.
Confirming the 11 p.m. accident, Makueni Police Commander Babanas Ngeno said the 8 passengers died on the spot following the head-on collision between a matatu that was heading towards Nairobi from Loitoktok and the truck that was on its way to Mombasa. Ngeno noted that due to heavy rains at that time, there is a great possibility that one of the drivers was not driving with care and attention on the road, which has claimed many lives to fatal accidents. The bodies of the deceased were moved to Kilungu Hospital, while the wreckage of the vehicles were towed to Salama Police Station as investigations into the incident continue. This incident brings the total number of people who have died following road accidents on the Nairobi-Mombasa highway to 20 within the last 24 hours. At least 12 people were killed at Ndi area in Taita Taveta on Thursday evening after a matatu they were traveling in collided with a truck. The matatu driver was reportedly trying to overtake before colliding with the oncoming truck. Eric Matika, TV47.
And now the death toll in the Taita Taveta Road accident has equally risen to 14 after 2 more people succumbed while receiving treatment at the Moi Referral Hospital in Voi. The accident that involved a matatu and trailer colliding head-on, that is made after have caused by overspeeding and reckless driving. Some of the deceased kins had already paid a visit to the hospital morgue to confirm the bodies, with many confirming the realization that their kin had gone.
Tonight, sorrow and grief remain deeply etched in the faces of the family members who trooped in at the Moi Referral Hospital in Voi, some to confirm their worst fears as their kin were in the ill-fated matatu that was involved in an accident with the trailer which claimed 12 lives on the spot.
Mimi ni mmoja wa wale wamepoteza watu wao Nimempoteza mtoto wangu wa kwanza.
Those who escaped the jaws of death narrating what transpired in the final moments before the deadly crash.
Sikujua Kenya kiliendelea, but nilijipata niko chini. Kwa naendesha vibaya sana, overtake.
Tuseme hiyo issue yote ilitokana na overtaking. So kuna vile alikuwa careless. Haikuwa mara ya kwanza hiyo overtake.
The people who came to confirm the identities of their kin, requesting the government to look into the matter of road safety.
Sema tu waangalie tu mambo na barabara. Mtu angalie akiendesha gari barabarani.
Medical Superintendent Shem Jeremiah has said the death toll has risen to 14 after the death of 2 more people.
Watu 12 walikufa on the spot. Of watu 12, 5 walikuwa wanaume, 7 walikuwa wanawake. And of the 2 that had got severe injuries, 1 was taken to ICU and 1 to HDU. They succumbed last night. That's bringing our total death to 14 currently.
He has also requested relatives of the casualties who have not visited the hospital to do so.
So we are requesting the public to come forth and help us in doing some identification.
Vera Alberta, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, condolences to the family and friends. And to politics, ODM leader Raila Odinga has told 5 members of parliament expelled by the party this week to resign and seek fresh mandate. A tough-speaking Odinga during a rally in Migori County told the rebels to leave the party, terming them as traitors. And as Odinga further defended Wednesday's decision by the party to expel them, said that they failed to consult the party in their engagements with President William Ruto.
ODM party leader Raila Odinga used his tour of Migori County to pile pressure on the 5 ODM MPs expelled by the party this week. A tough-talking Odinga telling the MPs to resign and quit for betraying the party.
Hakuna barabara na kwenda kupata kwenye ikulu. Wewe sasa umewacha msimamo ya chama chako, umeenda kwa upande kingine. Wewe mpaka uchukuliwe hatua ya kinidhamu. Lakini wewe sasa unasema mimi nimetoka katika ODM, lakini nitakuwa mbunge miaka 5 ijao. Hiyo yako. Tutaonana na wewe.
The decision by ODM to crack the whip this week, turning the Migori rally into a declaration event where the region's MPs pledged their allegiance to Odinga.
Baba, kuna siku hata moja mimi pamoja na watu wa Suna West tutakusaliti. Hakuna hata siku moja, iwe ni usiku, iwe ni mchana, watu nyang'anye bunduki, wafunge account. Baba, mimi pamoja na watu wa Suna West wote tuko nyuma yako.
Hata saizi ukisema ati hakuna mtu anaenda ng'ambo ile, watu wa Migori wale unawaona hapa wataamua hakuna mtu ataenda ng'ambo ile.
Ahead of a looming legal battle expected in the courts as the 5 ODM MPs fight for their survival in the judiciary, Odinga says he will not allow arm-twisting tactics in the judiciary to guarantee them survival.
Wanasema ati maneno itaenda mahakama, itazunguka miaka 5, mimi nitamaliza tu katika bunge. Hata hiyo mahakama tunakuja kufuata wewe. Hiyo mahakama tunaleta marekebisho. Wale majaji ambao wanakaa na hiyo namna hiyo tutahakikisha wametoka.
Kisumu Senator Professor Tom Ojienda and Lang'ata MP Felix Odiwuor, known as Jalango, have challenged the party in a letter sent by their lawyers, seeking to be furnished with the details of all the meetings that approved their expulsion.
Lakini kama wewe chama inasema hii mswada tunapinga, wewe unakwenda kuunga mkono, wewe umevunja sheria ya chama, unakuwa de-whipped.
Apol Kamau, TV47.
Now, the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NACADA, has released a report concerning the trending videos of seemingly heavily drugged youth on social media after collecting samples through focus group discussions in Kwale, Kilifi and Mombasa counties. NACADA CEO John Muteti states that the symptoms discovered had been as a result of polydrug use and heroin overdose rather than the use of fentanyl drug which actually they had been suspecting.
Such videos, which went viral across all social media platforms in Kenya, attracted the attention of NACADA, which has now completed the analysis of 20 samples which they collected in the coastal counties of Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi on purpose to unearth the substance, resulting to zombie-like symptoms. According to NACADA Acting CEO Professor John Muteti, the exercise involved different government agencies, including the government chemist, which analyzed the samples.
The drug users are resorting to the use of multiple substances, especially prescription drugs, to complement the available heroin, whose potency has over the time been proven to be reducing.
The report indicates that the substance used is not related to the fentanyl drug as suspected, but a combination of heroin with high dosage of prescription drugs, especially diazepam. Combination of methadone with heroin, high dosage of prescription drugs and other substances, and the use of silexine, an animal medicine used for anesthetics and pain relief for cows and horses.
This discovery of silexine presents a potential public health crisis in the management of drug overdose cases because the life-saving drug, the naloxone, does not respond to its overdose.
The deficiency of heroin in the region is said to have contributed to young people mixing drugs easily accessible to them to complement the effects of heroin. NACADA therefore recommends that the mentioned drugs be restricted to only be issued when a valid prescription is presented.
And for those who are in this business, I have a message for them just to say, this is not good for you, it's not good for our country. Please, there are better businesses that you can do. You cannot ruin a child of a certain family and feel good about it.
Na pia katika hii ripoti imenukuu kazi kubwa sana ambayo jamii inafanya. Kwa hivyo lazima tuipeane kongole kwa jamii na idara tofauti ambazo zinafanya kazi kuweza kupungua kwa ile dawa na pia kupatikana hizi njia nyingine inatupatia sisi mafunzo kuweza kuangalia ni vipi tunapata natija.
The Coast Regional Commissioner Rhoda Onyancha has announced that the crackdown on drugs dealers is on and will continue.
This is the focus we have right now for Ngao and for the National Police Service. So it's an activity that every county is undertaking, and we are encouraging the public to partner with us, because then if they cannot partner with us to give us information, it becomes very hard for us to act.
Paul Monio, TV47, Mombasa.
And now leaders from around the Lake region counties of Western Kenya have retreated to Kakamega in a bid to chart a new path to the now struggling sugar sector. The leaders from across the political divide called for the repealing of the Sugar Act through a bill already in Parliament, hoping to revive the Sugar Board and resolve the issue of zoning.
Stakeholders in the sugar sector are holed up in a two-day conference in the sugar capital of Kakamega County in a bid to find ways of getting the sugar sector back to the good old days after more than 20 years of financial stress. Day one saw governors, members of parliament, industry players, farmers and national government officials hold a special session at Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology to discuss the troubled Mumias Sugar Company and agree on what to include in the sugar bill currently in the third reading at the National Assembly.
If we were to discuss issues, we start from the problem. The problem was created by us. When we disbanded Kenya Sugar Board, we created a more fast thing called AFA.
What we only need to also have a conversation is whether the 117 billion Kenya shillings wholly represents the 6 factories that we have public interest.
They deliberated on issues aimed at sweetening the sugar sector again. by reviving the Sugar Board and resolving the issue of zoning, while lamenting the national government's degree of involvement since agriculture is devolved.
We want to tell Kenyans we are sorry as the 11th Parliament for having disbanded Kenya Sugar Board. We want Kenya Sugar Board back.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula insisted on repealing the Sugar Act through Navajo legislator Emmanuel Wang's bill that is before Parliament as soon as they are back from races on Thursday next week.
I have called Parliament, although we are in recess, to sit on Thursday next week, and I've put top priority 2 items that concern cane farming. The memorandum and motion from the Treasury to write off the debts, which amount up to 117 billion.
President William Ruto's administration plans to bring back the sweet in the now sour sector through 16 proposals made by Treasury CS Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, targeting 5 sugar mills among them: Chemelil, Nzoia, Miwani, Muhoroni, and the Sony Sugar. The first intervention is the writing off of debt owed to the government, the Sugar Board, sugarcane farmers, and other creditors. As of now, the sugar mills have debt to the tune of over 128 billion shillings in the form of taxes, penalties, salaries, and other offsets. Of the sugar mills, Nzoia Sugar is leading with debt amounting to 62 billion shillings, followed by Muhoroni Sugar, Miwani, Chemelil, and Southern Nyanza. Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
And the Supreme Court of Kenya has dismissed the case challenging the Finance Act 2023 that was passed into law by President William Ruto on June 26th this year, but was held back by a court case through a petition filed by Busia Senator Okiya Omtata. Now, the Supreme Court delivered the ruling on the merit that the petition by Omtata does not fall within the court's appellate jurisdiction and that the decision of the Court of Appeal had not occasioned grave injustice to warrant invocation of their jurisdictions, thus dismissing all the applications presented before them. This was, however, interpreted by Omtata as a technicality that should not block substantive justice being served. Dennis Otieno tells us more.
It is a ruling that was delivered by the Supreme Court of Kenya through an official statement after the 7-judge bench led by Chief Justice Martha Koome dismissed the motion challenging the Court of Appeal's ruling, which had cleared the way for the implementation of the Finance Bill 2023 after its ascension to law by President William Ruto. The Supreme Court explained in the statement that the petition filed by Busia Senator Okiya Omtata does not fall within their appellate jurisdiction and that the decision of the Court of Appeal had not occasioned grave injustice to warrant invocation of their jurisdiction, thus dismissing all the applications presented before them. But speaking in Kakamega, Omtata assured Kenyans that the case is far from over, adding that the proper hearing to the case is expected to officially start on Wednesday, 13th September, as he explained that the actions of the Supreme Court to dismiss the case was due to a technicality that he failed to follow.
Ile ambayo ilitupiliwa leo kwa sababu ya kusema kwamba vile tulipeleka hoja yetu, tulikosea kidogo kuzingatia sheria za Supreme Court kwa sababu anahitaji usipeleke zaidi ya page 15 ya submissions, na tulipeleka kesi page zaidi ya 15.
Omtata had filed a petition that challenged the constitutionality and validity of the Finance Bill 2023, where he sought to find out if the Court of Appeal used its mandate properly when it dismissed the judgment made by the High Court to have the Finance Bill suspended until the court cases culminate.
Hoja yenyewe kubwa ambayo bado iko Supreme Court ni kuelezwa kama ile koti ya rufaa ilitumia mamlaka yake vizuri ilipoondoa zile amri ambazo zilikuwa zimetolewa na High Court ya kusema kwamba finance bill iwekwe kando mpaka kesi itakapoisha.
Omtata now wants the government to create a new treasury that will be independent so as to curb corruption in the country.
Ukiangalia kwenye hicho kipengele, ukienda kwa kipengele cha 225 mstari wa kwanza, inasema kwamba bunge itaweka national treasury ambayo iko independent. Lakini kwa national treasury ambayo tunaendelea nayo hii, wameweka kwamba minister ndio kiongozi, ndio head wa treasury.
The National Assembly passed the bill on June 21st this year, with President William Ruto granted assent to the bill, transforming into an act on June 26th. The act had, however, been received with mixed reactions from Kenyans who looked at how the revenue-raising measures of the national government during the 2023-2024 fiscal year would affect them. Dennis Otieno, TV47.
And our leaders from around the Lake Region counties of Western Kenya have retreated to Kakamega in a bid to chart a new path to the now struggling sugar sector. The leaders from across the political divide called for repealing of the Sugar Act through a bill already in Parliament, hoping to revive the Sugar Board and resolve the issue of zoning. Well, we'll bring you back that story shortly, but for now, allow us to take a different one. And of course, that is in relation to UHC, that is universal health care, and what is being done by government in terms of making sure that the same is addressed. Stakeholders from private hospitals have submitted their proposals on the 4 bills that are aimed at accelerating UHC rollout in the country. There were varying, of course, opinions on the calls for the unemployment citizens to make annual contributions as installments, a mode of contribution cushion, and of course to make sure that these already struggling Kenyans are able to manage.
Friday marked day 3 of the ongoing public participation on the 4 bills proposed to replace NHIF with 3 separate funds. Today, stakeholders from private health facilities weighed in on the matter, where they opposed the move to scrap NHIF into the Primary Healthcare Fund, Social Health Insurance Fund, and the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund.
What was wrong with NHIF as it was, that now you have to handle it by splitting the money into 3 different pockets. Could that not have been done administratively?
The stakeholders have also opposed the move to have the Primary Healthcare Fund fully funded by the Exchequer, saying it is only wise if the fund is allocated an independent office with a chief executive officer.
Let it be autonomous. Wakimaliza pesa yao, wajue ni wao wamemaliza pesa yao.
Varying opinions, however, emerged on the proposed annual contributions among the unemployed citizens, as some stakeholders proposed different modes of payment to cushion the financially struggling Kenyans.
Those who do not have salaried income and they must contribute, can they pay in installments? When you say annual, mtu atasumbuka kupata hiyo pesa.
I think the annual contribution will help in terms of being able to have predictability in terms of cash flows.
I'm talking about a product that is just making the non-payroll person operate like a payroll person without financial strain.
The stakeholders unanimously supported the Digital Health Bill, which seeks to address existing legal and regulatory gaps in the framework for the e-health program. The public participation exercise is slated to end on the 11th of this month, after which the 4 bills will be passed to Parliament for debate and approval. The bills include the Primary Healthcare Bill 2023, Digital Health Bill, Facility Improvements Financing Bill, and Social Health Insurance Bill of 2023. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47.
And our raft of reforms in the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy is in the offing after the inauguration of a working committee meant to overlook the review of the governing regulatory framework. The ministry's Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo says that the ICT, broadcasting and telecommunications subsectors have had the same policy systems for the past 25 years, despite the dynamism and technological advancements over time, and these changes are long overdue.
The
The present legal framework governing semi-autonomous government institutions and, in extension, private institutions has been in effect since 1998. Spanning across 2.5 decades, the regulations for the communication sector have left major loopholes brought by technological advancements and changing trends.
There is need, which we recognize, to align the various legal and policy instruments that govern our mandate and even that of the sagas and entities under the ministry to changes, emerging issues in the operational environment. That effective alignment is imperative and is also a critical success factor for us moving forward because this operational environment is too dynamic.
We have come together to think. We have been looking at our sector, and we realize that there are so many things that we need to do. And this sector requires a lot of consultation. We do not, as ministry, think that we have the final answers.
While unveiling a team of technocrats who would be overlooking the reviewing progress of the policies and regulations, the Cabinet Secretary said the team will also give a comprehensive layout of any necessary changes required and a possible result matrix.
It is therefore significant that these laws be looked at objectively in the face of the prevailing situation at the moment.
You think about the media world, you think about the print media, and you realize it has faced a lot of challenges, and the challenges continue piling up. We need to help them to move to the next level, to adjust, and that has an impact on how they will improve their revenue streams.
Moreover, the team of sector working group will be subdivided to cater for thematic areas, with a portion working on ICT reforms, while the other rattles up telecommunications and broadcast.
He was the chief graphics designer at the Nation Media Group and creative director for Kenwal Media.
The task force will discharge mandates in accordance with the growth and changes in the ministry. Over 25 years of a lack of regulatory changes in one of the most dynamic sectors. Now the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy is saying the working groups are going to bring the necessary change in this particular sector. Hibak Said for TV47, Nairobi.
And Plug Mtaani proudly launched the county edition of the Plug Mtaani Vijana to Invest initiative in Makueni County in collaboration with the esteemed presence of His Excellency Mutula Kilonzo Jr. This innovative program aims to empower Kenyan youth and drive economic growth at grassroots levels, with the most creative and determined entrepreneur receiving 10 million Kenyan shillings. The governor emphasized the paramount importance of addressing the dire issue of youth unemployment, which affects nearly 200,000 young individuals in each county. He pledged his unwavering support for the Plug Mtaani initiative, recognizing its potential to transform the lives of countless youth in the region.
Government and the partners. By the way, I'm glad that I vied to become governor of Makueni, because I get the impression that we are now really thinking about Kenya properly. These young people can be given opportunities to do business, and they can get credit at reasonable fees. Then it will have a direct effect on our collections at national level, straight, because they become taxpayers. This gives an opportunity for these people to go and feed the world.
And the National Rugby Sevens circuit
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Toka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana. Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai. John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi. Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over. You respect
in to make sure that we are not left behind. Certainly a conversation that you're looking forward to. And so on this very point, I will, of course, step aside so that Eric and the guests then can join you for this very crucial conversation. Thank you so much for keeping it TV47 Weekend Edition. My name is Linda Alela, Roda Nyamai, our sign language interpreter. We do not close it at this very point because the broadcast continues, and next is Disruptive Friday. Eric Muneni, to you.
The East Africa University, we understand that there are limitless possibilities for brilliant minds. Join us for our September intake for short courses, certificate courses, diploma courses, degree courses, and Master of Business Administration. For more information, you can contact us on 0722 545167. Email us on marketingdepartment@teau.ac.ke or visit our website at www.teau.co.ke to find out more about our programs and how to apply. The East African University, the wellspring of knowledge and character. Welcome to the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center, the premier events venue. Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed to meet all your needs, from large-scale conferences to intimate meetings and everything in between. Located in the heart of Thika, the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center offers stunning views of the city skyline and is easily accessible from all major transportation hubs. Our facility features ample parking, free Wi-Fi, advanced audiovisual equipment, and our technical team is always on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly and seamlessly. Don't take our word for it. Make your next event.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Muyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turkana. Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Nitakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
you respect people.
Ndani ya Mfahamu Kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Muchuku.
Kwa mirindimo kemkem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu, makala ya kuvutia pamoja na matukio mubashara viwanjani. Shabiki, tutapiga mbizi katika kila kiwanja, ndani na hata nje ya nchi. Mtazamaji, uko tayari? Ni kazi michezoni ama michezo kazini? Ungana nami Ahmed Bahaj, sajili mpya nimefika katika kipindi cha kipekee Mchaka Mchaka. Zitatoka cheche, tutapiga mstari chini yake. Si bora michezo, ni michezo kwa ubora wake. Cheche.
They say money makes the world go round. So let's slow things down a bit. Put things in perspective. From the markets to the streets to the stocks, we make the complex comprehensible. Join me, Hibak Saeed, on TV47 Business News for market insights like never before.
What's making the headlines?
Minutes
What does
past
it
the
mean
hour,
to you?
and as Linda Lela rightly put it, we are about to start this conversation, a very important conversation and a timely one, I have to add, because of the just concluded Africa Climate Week Summit. That was the inaugural Africa Climate Week Summit, whose curtains came down on Wednesday, and we are about to talk about a very, very important topic here, and that is on e-waste or electronic waste. And to help me do that is Catherine Musolia, the Chief Operating Officer of the WE Center. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Well, the acronyms WE stand for Waste, Electrical and Electronic Equipment Center.
Yes.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. It's quite scary to imagine that a lot of things that you're using, a lot of electronic equipment that you're using, the phone, the tablet, the wristwatch, or even the microphones that we are wearing, at some point, because they all have a shelf life, at some point they are going to a graveyard of some sort. It's quite scary. What's the situation like?
Okay, electronic waste is the fastest growing waste stream in the world right now. And you can imagine when COVID happened and we all had to be indoors, what that meant. So everyone was buying a new gadget. So that meant that the amount of electronics that we're expecting to be produced every year is, we're thinking about maybe a growth of 30% year on year. So that means the electronics at some point will get to end of life. So how are we going to dispose it? So it's a very important topic to think about, especially because some of the components in electronic waste are hazardous. And if disposed in the wrong way, we'll end up, the hazardous elements will end up in our soil, in our water. We certainly do not want that. Statistics have shown that in areas where electronic waste has been thrown in the landfills, we have higher mortality rates, for infant mortality rates. Children have lower IQs. There's prevalence of diseases like cancer that affect vital organs in the body. So we have to think of where does my gadget end up when it dies? Yeah.
And when you think about your gadget and where it will end up in that graveyard of some sorts, as we've mentioned, are there innovative technologies or practices that can be employed to ensure that this does not affect people?
Yes, most certainly there are. First, we need to stop storing them in our houses. Of course, when you think about the phone when you bought it, and I'm sure everyone, if you take a moment to think, somewhere in your house you have a microwave maybe that's spoiled, you have a fridge, you have a phone that you still can't let go of. We must find safe ways to dispose of these items. Now, WE Center was formed to help us safely dispose electronic waste, because there's a lot of people out there who are taking these gadgets and incinerating, and when we incinerate, of course, there's emissions that come from it, and those end up polluting our environment, and it's the harmful emissions that are produced, including carbon, end up destroying or affecting the climate. So we have to think about that. So we say WE Center is where your electronics go to die safely. Yes.
Well, let's talk about the just concluded African Climate Summit week. How does your company align its operations with the climate mitigation and sustainability goals?
Yes. So we are especially focused on SDG 11, 12, and 13. In terms of climate goals, we advocate for reuse of items. We think in terms of circular economy principles. So these principles say that you want to use the resources as long as possible. And then when you do this, then you reduce the impact on environmental pollution, you reduce biodiversity loss. So in this way, then, we are contributing to climate mitigation. Yeah. So when items come to us, we are not going to first think of just disposing it. You're going to ask yourself, is it possible for this item to be reused? Is it possible for it to be refurbished? Can we remanufacture? So disposing is the very last end of it. And actually, we Center is at the forefront of promoting circular economy principles, because we are saying you also need to think about design. We need to redesign our electronic items so that they are made to last. Not that you just have it and within a short time then it's dead, it dies on you. And that might mean that even you're thinking, can a screw from one phone made by a different manufacturer be used on another one? So that's the kind of thinking that we want to go towards so that we can be able to address these issues that are coming up. Yeah.
Well, in light of also the climate summit, you also organized a hackathon yesterday, I believe.
Yes.
What was achieved yesterday?
Oh, I loved the hackathon. Why? Because it brought three things that I love: tech. We're addressing climate issues, and we were having innovation and entrepreneurship right there. So we had young people come together. The climate hackathon, we partnered with the Circular Innovation Hub, the county, Aspen, and Africa's Talking. So we had young people come to We Center. We gave them a tour of the facility. They got to know what we are doing. And these are engineers. And then they were given 10 hours to come up with innovative solutions to some of the problems that we have. And really, I could not believe what they came up with at the end of the 10 hours. So some of the things we might struggle with is when we collect this electronic waste, how to figure out the different types of, the quality of the waste, if it's a board, the components, what can still be used or not be reused. One of the teams came up with using AI, and it would help us if someone is in Nakuru, because we have centers, collection centers across the country and even in outside Kenya. We don't need to be there. Using this technology, we are able to see what is there. Others came up with a way where we can map CBOs who can help us with collection, with our collection targets, because some of the components of electronic waste are valuable. So that would mean that we need to be able to collect the valuable components and we pay for it. And in that way, we are creating jobs. But now that would mean now we need to know where it is, which CBOs are there that can help us with it. And these people, in 10 hours time, were presenting us with those solutions. I just really loved the hackathon and what it showed the potential of our youth in providing the solutions we need. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Catherine, when we talk about companies coming up with designs that are reusable, we must also think about the competition out there, because these companies are in business. For instance, I'll use an example of an iPhone.
Yes.
Let's say an iPhone has a different charger from the Android gadgets. Isn't it a hard nut to crack to convince these big tech companies to reconsider their designs in order to make some of their components reusable?
Yes. I get asked that question a lot, especially because when you're talking about circular economy, you're trying to tell people that these items need to last longer. And companies are thinking we need to make profits. But profits for how long? Yeah, we have to think long term. We are raising a generation of people, of young people, who will not accept to buy your products if it's harming them. It's going to get there. I see it with my children when they ask me if we can recycle. Mom, how can I recycle these items? This is the generation, this is our future consumers. So if we continue to harm the environment, and I think even when Mama was launching the challenge that she has for the youth, the Mazingira, it had young people who were telling us we need to take care of the environment. So these young people will hold us accountable. If we don't hold ourselves accountable, then we'll be forced to do it. And the resources that are there are not infinite. So that means at some point you'll run out of the resources that you're using badly right now. So if not now, it's going to catch up with us later. So why not just adapt now instead of waiting to die in the future? That's what I keep saying. Yeah.
Well, are there examples, from where you sit, are there examples of successful e-waste recycling initiatives that have positively impacted the local communities here in Kenya?
Yes, there have been several examples. One of them I would say is the collection centers that we have across Kenya. So we have partnered with various organizations, both corporate, and NEMA has also been a very instrumental partner with us. Some of the corporate bodies, Safaricom, we have Total, Carrefour. In these places, then people are able to go and safely dispose waste. Now, at the collection centers within the regions, we also have universities there who have given us space where you can go and drop off your waste. What it means in those areas is that we have opportunities for youth to bring us waste, which is valuable, and then we purchase it from them. So that shows that there is some value in what we are calling e-waste. Yeah, as much as it has some hazardous elements, it has some valuable components. So those have been especially successful. And of course, the awareness creation. And when we have opportunities like the Climate Summit, then we are able to speak more and create awareness about electronic waste and how to handle it safely. And such platforms help us to spread the word so that we're able to actually take care of the environment, keep it safe for ourselves now and also for the future generation. Yeah.
Well, technology is moving with speed. Yes. So how are you going to handle the challenge of tech moving with speed and coming up with designs or products that are quickly becoming obsolete within a very short period?
Okay, finally it has come to Kenya. So we know there's regulation that the government has been very instrumental in championing it. Because now we know manufacturers will be held responsible for the items that they produce. Yeah. So just the policy that is coming up means that we will be able to address these issues. So now manufacturers will have to think, do I really want my item to be paying for disposal of the item? Because it's a polluter pay principle. So that's one thing that we can be sure will help us with the technology becoming obsolete. And also generally, even the consumer becoming more aware. The more we create awareness, then consumers will now start to demand of manufacturers that they don't want items that go obsolete. There's organizations that are across in Europe which are doing it. So it's eventually going to get to us. Yeah.
Well, looking at the just concluded summit, there's something that I got there during the declaration, the Nairobi Declaration. At the beginning, it says the declaration will serve as a basis for Africa's common position in the global climate change process. But then again, there was somewhere that it mentioned no country should ever have to choose between development agenda and climate action. And I'm thinking it's hard to talk about development agenda without talking about technology. That's quite, it seems like a zero-sum game.
Okay, if we want to talk about development and technology, it doesn't mean that technology should cause us harm.
Okay.
Yeah. So there must be ways that we can find a balance between the two. And I think the summit itself showed that people can come together and come up with solutions that will result in development, will involve technology, and will not harm the climate. Like what we did during the hackathon, it's obvious. These are techies, they're providing solutions, and these solutions are going to help our business. So it doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice the climate to develop, and I don't think it works like that, yeah.
Well, and finally, what steps can individuals, probably people watching right now, ensure, what can they do to ensure that they reduce their electronic footprint?
Okay. The first thing you need to do is think about your house. So I'm starting with you. What do you have in your home, an electronic gadget that you don't need to be keeping there? So you start with that. And then now when you want to dispose, there's many places you can dispose. You can call We Center to dispose the waste. We have at Carrefour supermarkets, there is bins. Total stations, various Total stations have the bins. I&M Bank has bins for disposal. It's all over. So I think when you have the item, think, how can I safely dispose? Let's think about your gadgets. That gadget, when you feel you want to change it, can it be used by somebody else? Your laptop, can it be refurbished rather than to be just, I don't know, discarded? Can you give it to somebody else? Like some of these gadgets that we're using, maybe it could help someone else in another area who has never used that. When you go home to your grandma, there must be some kids there who could possibly use it. Because some of these items, it's not that they're not working, it's just that they're old-fashioned. So we want the latest gadget. It's just that's how it works. But now we need to rethink how we are using our electronics.
I know I said finally, but someone is asking me, I have to ask this about e-mobility. What's your opinion about the world now moving to e-mobility? We're talking about electric cars, autonomous cars, and such.
I think it's great. We're moving to e-mobility. It's good. We are talking about renewable energy sources. It's excellent. But you know what it means also? It means that now we have to deal with end of life for these items. So like the batteries that are there, they're made to last 7 years, and that's in Europe. I recently went for a study visit, and I learned that actually the batteries that come to Africa, instead of lasting the 7 years, they're probably going to last 5 years. Why? Because the climatic conditions in Africa are different. So they even have shorter lifespans. So what that means is now we need to think about the end of life. Where do those items go? So there's a good side to it, but there's also now we have to think about the end of life. And increasingly we are finding that now organizations are reaching out to us with solar PV panels, how to dispose them. We're having people reaching out to us on batteries. So even as we have the valuable components, now we're having to deal with what we call problematic fractions of e-waste, which is a whole other ballgame.
Well, thank you very much, Catherine Masolia,
yes.
For that very informative chat. Catherine Masolia is the Chief Operating Officer at Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment Center. I'll take that again. The Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment Center, or WE Center. We're talking about a very timely conversation, and that is about electronic waste or e-waste, just on the backdrop of the just concluded African Climate Summit Week, whose curtains came down this past Wednesday. Thank you so much for staying with us till this tail end of the broadcast. My name is Eric.